So, hello and welcome back. Today we are going to go through the starting zone for arguably my very favorite race in this entire game, and that's the Blood Elves. I'm sure that that probably says something very, very basic about me. Maybe I'm just shallow. I really have always liked the way they look. They're probably my favorite race, and so when World of Warcraft and Blizzard added Void Elves in, which gave the Alliance side basically a Blood Elf to play, I really quickly made that my main, which made me feel bad for Lantra, who was my main for so many years, but couldn't help it. Anyway, I'm going to jump in. I am going to make our female Blood Elf Hunter, and then we will get into it and check out their side of the story now that we've seen the Draenei side.
The past few years have seen unprecedented changes within the eternal land of Quel'Thalas. The Blood Elves, following the will of their crazed leader Kael'thas Sunstrider, channeled dangerous, chaotic magics to transform their sacred Sunwell into a gateway of unspeakable evil. While Kael'thas and his demonic masters were eventually defeated, a different kind of transformation occurred within the Sunwell itself, as a dying Naru sacrificed its life essence to reignite the Sunwell into a fount of holy energy. Now, the Blood Elf regent Lorthamar Theron sees a new hope on the horizon for his people. Over time, the Sunwell's light could cure the Blood Elves of their cursed state, but many still cling to the arcane powers they've procured and are hesitant to relinquish them. As one of the remaining Blood Elves, you must fight to protect Quel'Thalas and help redeem the soul of your ancient people.
Alright, and there we go. We are going to go through these quests, which honestly, I've done so many times, but I feel like it's been years since I actually read them, so this will be good.
Anaria Shola.
Reclaiming Sunstrider Isle. The sooner you begin your education, the better for us all. There's little room for error, so listen closely. The burning crystals, the green floating objects to the west of the Sunspire here, have long been used to power the Isle's experiments. The mana worms were their guardians, but the Scourge invasion of Quel'Thalas has driven them from our lack of magical control over them. There's little choice but to thin their numbers for reclamation. Do this, then return to me.
Be ready.
Off we go to kill mana worms. It's a good thing that they're kind of all over the Isle. One last one. Looks like he'll do. I've always loved the whole vibe of the Sunstrider Isle. It's so cool. Like everything from the cute little mana worms, which, I mean, granted, I was just killing them, right down to the enchanted brooms and the floating bookshelves. You can definitely tell that Blood Elves are a race that enjoys their luxuries, which is kind of a rarity on the Horde side, and possibly another reason that I like them so much. I mean, I love orcs and trolls, but there aren't many housing opportunities when everything is a hut or a tent.
Anu Belore Delana.
You have successfully completed your first task, and for that you are to be congratulated. Such success gives me faith that you will turn out better than those young Blood Elves who failed to heed the lessons of their masters. Continued success will be rewarded, not only with knowledge, but also with tangible rewards. Your work, however, is not finished. There's much more to learn, my young friend.
We will have justice.
Your effort has made something clear that honestly I wish were not true. The unchecked power of the burning crystals has maligned a much larger swath of the Isle's natural balance than I thought. We must now take on the more unfortunate measures to reclaim control. The nearby lynxes have succumbed to the influence of the crystals, and they must be put down. Bring their collars, as I may yet be able to fashion a magical restraint to turn some back from being uncontrolled. Oh, we gotta go kill some kitties. I think that is also the only quest, so let's go kill some kitties. Alright, one more kitty to take out. And the irony of it is, this will probably be this character's first pet, is one of these unfortunate kitties. But that is the questing system. One thing I haven't mentioned that I've always really appreciated in this area, and I have not turned that tracking on. If you go up to the little binoculars in the top corner, you can turn on different things to track. You can track battle pets now, and you can actually capture some of the kitty cats that are around the Isle. It's a easy way to get some more leveling experience.
Glory to the Sindorai.
It gives me no pleasure to ask you to destroy these beasts. Well, in times past, we have lived in harmony with the woodland creatures. These are different times. The first order of business for all Sindorai is survival. Make sure you remember that.
Shorel Oran.
The tower and the surrounding areas should now be relatively secure, though only for the time being. You've done well in providing us with a buffer of security, but we will need to reassert control over the entire Isle if we are to survive here in the long run. This will involve tackling much greater threats than errant mana worms and lynxes. Take this. You will no doubt make good use of it. Thank you. I love getting gloves. Report to Lathan Perlon. You are to report to my assistant. He will instruct you on what needs to be done next. While we here at the Sunspire will continue to rein in the burning crystals, you will be focused on more pressing matters concerning the Faltharen Academy. Lathan will explain this further when you speak to him. Walk west of here along the path and you should see him standing nearby. Good luck. And we have quests all over the place, so let's go pick some of those up. What would you like? It's a shame that we've lost control of many of the creatures here on the island. This was once a tranquil place of study and research. Now it's all that we can do to keep from being attacked by our own creations. I'm going to offer you a chance to receive a magical boon in exchange for some collections on your part. Bring me a stack of arcane slivers that are found on the mana-using creatures of the Isle, and I will cast a spell on you that should aid in your adventures. It's always handy. And I will surely remember the Sunwell. What would you like?
Persevere.
If there is only one lesson that you deign to remember from your time on Sunstrider Isle, let it be this. Control your thirst for magic. It is a thirst unending. What you absorb must be controlled and released via arcane torrent. Failure to do that is to become one of the wretched, hopelessly addicted, and insane. Seek out a mana worm and unleash your arcane torrent upon it. Learn to master your power. When you have released an arcane torrent, return to me. Again, this is teaching you your racial, which, if you remember, we didn't have to learn that on any of the humans and things. I wonder why they added that quest in that way. This next quest that we're picking up is one that always used to mess me up before they put the spiffy little arrows in pointing that the quest giver is above you. I was always hopelessly lost at the beginning playing this game.
Anaria Shola.
The Sunspire held a beautiful vantage of the Sunwell once. Our lives have been turned upside down, but we nonetheless carry on. It is our way. We're survivors. If you are to survive this upheaval, to carry on in your own right, then you must learn how to survive. All Blood Elves must do this. You must master your insatiable hunger for magic before it masters you.
Shoreloran.
Day after day, I stand here watching, waiting. I've been accused of dwelling too much on our past while my eyes look to the horizon, but it is my firm belief that each visitor to this island should honor those who have sacrificed all so that they may continue. Oh my gosh, that is a name. Dalath Ramar Sunstrider was our first king. He led us here from Kalmandor through the Maelstrom. Seek out his shrine to the west, and do not return to me until you have read the plaque upon it in his honor.
The reckoning is at hand.
And
Keep your
Soladin's
wits about
belongings. With all the chaos happening here on the Sunspire, I haven't had a chance to collect my belongings that I've left outside of various places on the Isle. I must maintain my vigil over the Sunwell here, so I ask you to collect them in my stead. I need my scrying orb, my scroll of scourge magic, and my journal. Use this satchel for some extra space, as my things are bulky. Return them to me, and I will give you a little something for the effort. And you can keep the satchel as well. Huzzah!
Remember the Sunwell.
Alright, I think that might be all of the quests, so off we go. So I guess the first thing we should do is our arcane torrent on this mana worm right here. Yay, look at that, we did it. Now it's trying to eat us. That's rude. That's okay though. We took it out, and we got an arcane sliver, which is always a good thing, because that is something we need for another quest. And it looks like we have a turn-in right here.
Anaria Shola.
You've done well. Your willingness to learn shows that you may well rise above the unyielding cravings that you endure as a blood elf. Rest not on your laurels, young one, but instead seek to master what you have learned. Only through diligence will we, as a race, survive. Take this, might be of use to you. Huzzah, we got armbands. That's always exciting. And now to collect more arcane slivers and find some belongings. Probably we should see what this guy wants as well, considering he was our first quest that we were given.
Yes.
Magistrix Arona told me that you would be along soon. The Farthran Academy to our west, the huge floating building with the ornate spires, is in bad shape. You are going to be leading the effort to recapture it from one of the wretched, a blood elf who has forever succumbed to their basest cravings. I hope you're ready to work. This is not only going to be a lesson to you about danger, but also about what happens when you forsake the realities of who you are.
Keep your wits about you.
Before sending you to the academy, I want you to take on another task that needs to be dealt with immediately. Once used to aid us in the gardening of Sunstrider Isle, the bestial tenders have grown out of our control. Clear them out with due haste, but be warned, their lack of control has made them aggressive. It is such aggression that forces us to put down these once gentle servants. It does not please me to ask you to do this, but survival is survival. I'll mourn later.
Time is of the
All
essence.
right. So, kill some stuff, get some arcane slivers, and get Solanin's belongings. Definitely tasks worthy of a young blood elf, I would say. Oh yeah, and I think I said possibly that we have to get Solanin's belongings as well. So one good thing about killing all these tenders is it brought us right over here to where we can get Solonin's scrying orb. Another nice quality of life change that they made, I think after Cataclysm, but it might have been even later, was up on the mini-map. You can actually see the areas that you need to go. It's kind of wonderful and something that I really appreciate. So let's go get a couple more of Solonin's things, and then we will go to the Shrine of Dothramar. The nice thing is the shrine is pretty much directly behind where you had to get the scroll for Solonin, so it does make it a little bit easier. I do love the Blood Elf area. You have discovered the location of the shrine. Upon further examination, you sense a stronger pulse of the strange power that has gripped the isle. You feel a bit uncomfortable standing by the shrine and perhaps a little disturbed. The bronze placard along the side of the shrine reads, "Here stands the shrine of Daleth Ramar, a fitting tribute to a noble elf. Let all who gaze on this monument remember his sacrifices for our people and his dedication to the cause of our continued survival. All who prosper in Quel'Thalas do so thanks to him." Noble words. So as we go to turn this in, I have a friend who plays World of Warcraft on a private server that actually lets you do building and stuff. And because they're on a private server, they can do a lot of stuff that you cannot do in retail WoW. And one of those things is flying. And, well, I mean, everyone can fly, but nobody can fly in the game in the Blood Elf or Draenei starting zone. It's something Blizzard has never added back in, but because they're on a private server, they can give themselves GM powers. And they were able to fly up here, and there is actually a little house at the top of that spire, which is something that you probably would never know. And something that I think is really neat about Blizzard, the fact that even an area that nobody can get to, they actually put a lot of detail in. So that's your little fun fact for this video. There is a house on the top of this spire. I wish I could get to it and show it to you. It's got one of the Blood Elf little canopied round beds and a couple of little chairs and a few little tables up there. It's kind of neat.
Anubelore Delana.
Alright, so we went to the
Farewell.
shrine. Thank you for sharing your experience at the shrine. First off, you should be commended for your sense of duty and respect. It will serve you well, not only here, but in all of Azeroth. As for the sensation, it's no doubt a contributing part of the taint that has befallen Sunstrider Isle. We shall keep an eye on it. Thank you for alerting us.
We will have justice.
Have you had a chance to find my belongings? Once we reassert our dominance over Sunstrider Isle, I'll need them in my work. For now, though, I must maintain a watch over the Sunwell, or what remains of it.
The reckoning is at hand.
Well done. I knew you'd be perfect for the task. Once it's safe to make use of our outdoor facilities on the Isle, I will be putting these things to good use. As I mentioned, please feel free to keep the satchel. Also, you may find this piece of armor to be useful. Consider it ample compensation for a simple task.
Remember the
That's a little
Sunwell.
snobby. But you know what that means? That means that we can actually get a pet. Huzzah! Pet time! You know, the real question is, can I tame a mana worm? Because I don't think I ever have, and I am now curious. Oh, we can. It seems like a fitting pet for this character. And I almost always go for cats, but now we have a worm. And a few more quests to turn in. Alright, let's turn this one in.
Victory lies ahead.
Well, the deaths of the tenders gives me no joy. It does show me that you're ready for the most important task that you will do here on Sunstrider Isle. Take this and put it to good use. I can't really use a staff, I'm sorry. You'll need good items and sharp wits for the task ahead.
Hold your head high.
A betrayer of our people resides atop of the Farthrian Academy to the southwest. Felderhen is his name, and he was banished from the Blood Elf lands for failing to heed the warnings of our teachers and elders. He's the worst of our society, as he lives only to feed his insatiable magic addiction. He refused to learn control. He is a shell of his former self, one of the wretched. And he is a threat to the Sunspire. Destroy him and the wraiths that he uses as minions.
Stay the course.
Dun dun dun. Now we do actually have one last turn in, so I should go do that. We have to turn in our fistful of slivers.
Our enemies will fall.
Many of the creatures here on the Isle were at one point bound into the non-aggression and complacency by our magic skills. When the Scourge destroyed the Sunwell, our hold over these creatures shattered. Arcane slivers are the remnants of the control we once had, and as such they might be usable in fashioning a new device to aid us in regaining their control. Better still, perhaps the slivers could be used to see what malaise the Isle truly suffers under.
The reckoning is at
Splendid.
hand.
These will do nicely. I've been doing quite a bit of thinking on the current malaise that Sunstrider Isle suffers under. I guess it would be malaise. One possible course of action I had pondered was to collect these arcane slivers from the beasts on the Isle. In doing so, they could be experimented on. This would provide a potential source of culpability. Anyway, I will tend to the research. Allow me to place this incantation upon you. I believe you'll make good use of it.
Death to all who oppose
Nice, we
us.
have a 30-minute fortitude, which increases our stamina and versatility for the next 30 minutes. And we should probably also sell a few of these items because our bag
not
is
loiter.
full. Gotta love selling, selling, selling. Hate selling the staff, but as a hunter,
Death
I
to
do
all who
prefer a
oppose us.
ranged weapon. Now, there are 3 specs that you can play as hunter. I always go Beastmaster, even when it's the garbage spec, because I like the fantasy of it. Of me and my pet out against the world. I think that might be why I ended up migrating to roleplay servers, is because you get a lot more into the fantasy behind your character and making up your own story to go along with everything. It's a lot of fun, and it probably feeds into my love of reading and books and magical stories. So, alright, we're gonna kill 8 arcane wraiths, 2 tainted arcane wraiths, and take off Feldehen's head. How do you say his name? Felendrin? Felendrin. We'll go with Felendrin. Nice. That arcane wraith dropped a quest. You found an odd sliver of crystallized mana on the corpse of a tainted arcane wraith. The sliver is different than the others that you may have seen in that it is dark and sinister looking, just like the wraith that you looted it from. Just holding it gives you a sense of unnatural foreboding. Arcanist Helen at the gazebo of the Sunspire on Sunstrider Isle might have someone that would have a use for it. Alright. Nice. Also, we only need 2 more arcane wraiths and 1 more tainted one, which should be up here. So, the very first time that I played a Blood Elf, I played it with a friend of mine. Actually, the same friend who had been playing WoW since the very beginning. Like, day one, she was playing World of Warcraft. And she's the one that I very first attempted to play World of Warcraft on her account to see if I would like it, which I think I've already mentioned. I did not enjoy my very first time playing a World of Warcraft. But she took me through when I made my first account and guided me through the Sunstrider Isle, where everything was much, much more aggressive. And at the very end of the quest, she said the fastest way to get down was just to jump off this building, which it is, as long as you actually land in the water. I didn't. So that was my very first time dying in World of Warcraft, at least on my own account. Alright, there is our target. I since have jumped from this spire many, many times and not died. We'll see if I can do that again this time. But if you don't hit just right, you definitely die. So let's see here. I think I'm lined up. Whee! Yay. Alright. Like I said, if you're lined up, you're fine because you land in water and you can just assume that you made a graceful swan dive. Unfortunately, that very first Blood Elf that I made belly flopped. It was a utter tragedy and wasn't enough to make me stop playing, but it was honestly kind of funny. So off we go to turn in our quests and see. I think that might be the final quest for the starting zone. You know, you get to the point in World of Warcraft where you stop reading the quests, and really you shouldn't, because so many of them are so good. So I appreciate doing this because it makes me remember just how much I like the quests.
Glory to the Sindorai.
Heed well this warning. Felderin, the Banished, is only a symptom of a much larger problem. His demise will solve our immediate concerns, but all Blood Elves share the potential same fate as him, if we let our addictions get the best of us. Well, here, take this head because it's gross. Felderin's head, you are to be commended. You've succeeded where others, like him, have utterly failed. Perhaps you are truly ready to be a contributing member of Blood Elf Society. Your success means that you are capable of surviving the greater threats that lurk in Eversong, and believe me, there are plenty to face.
Shorel Aran.
Aiding the Outrunners. Magistrix Arona wanted you to head to Silvermoon City in order to aid our reclamation efforts there. That is, once you successfully addressed the situation at the Academy. You did not disappoint. On your way to Falco Wing Square, south of here, you should speak with Outrunner Alarion. She is not far from the bridge. The Outrunners take care of shuttling goods between here and the mainland, and since you've proven to be so resourceful, they could use your assistance. And yes, that is your breadcrumb quest that leads you to the wider world of the Blood Elves. It's got some really great quest chains in this area, but this is where we are going to leave you. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you tomorrow. I'm not sure how many parts it's going to take because I know it's a much more involved quest chain. But we're going to do the Death Knight starter area. And it's going to be a super bonus for me. I've never actually gone in and played Classic. I like retail too much. But right now they're actually running a thing where if you complete the Death Knight starting experience in Wrath of the Lich King Classic, you get a free mount for your retail. So we're going to kill two birds with one stone. We're going to see, even though it was not a new race that was added in Wrath of the Lich King, we are going to check out the hero class that was added in Wrath of the Lich King starting tomorrow. Anyway, have a great night, and I will talk to you later.